Hello, I'm Shane Nebeker with the Utah State University Police Department. Just to tell you a little bit about my background, I've got about 3 years here with Utah State University Police Department, about 28 years total in law enforcement. Previously retired. I've spent 25 years with the Highway Patrol and retired as a supervisor with the Highway Patrol. But I'm here to introduce Utah State University's Police Department, some of our expectations, and some of the things that we see and deal with as a police department here on campus. To start, our police department is located on the very north end of the West Stadium. This is the football stadium parking lot. We're adjacent to the softball field. And if you go into the parking office through the front doors and look over your left shoulder, there is a glass window and a secured area. That is where the police department is. Probably one of the most important things that we can offer at this point of the presentation is our phone number. This is a non-emergency phone number, but if you need to make contact with the police department, whether that's to contact any of our administrators, talk to an officer, or request some of the services that we provide, which I'll talk about here in just a little bit, you can contact us at 435-797-1939. We do have a full-time dispatcher that will respond and answer that phone call. They have direct communication with our security officers as well as with the police department. If it is an emergency, we ask that you dial 911. Those phone calls will be routed to Logan City Police Department and the Cache County 911 Center. If you contact the non-emergency number and it turns out that it is an emergency, you'll be immediately routed to the 911 center. It takes about 15 to 20 seconds. They'll ask a couple of qualifying questions, determine the nature of the call, and typically route down to the Logan City Police Department. So just to talk a little bit about our police department. In some cases, and contrary to a lot of belief, we are an actual police department. We are state certified and answer all police calls. We are very diverse as a police department and bring a lot of experience to campus policing. Currently, we have actually about 25 sworn officers at Utah State University, and time in service goes anywhere from about 35 years in law enforcement down to brand new police officers. Within that group of police officers, we have several individuals who have served in other agencies as SWAT officers, as investigators and detectives, as administrators. And so we bring a lot of field experience, a lot of life experience, and policing experience to the department. We also employ 11 part-time security officers. Our security officers are typically college students. It's a campus job, and we use our security officers in a lot of cases as our eyes and ears. They do respond in certain circumstances and assist us in calls, in some cases providing security as well as helping us at our large events and those types of situations. And they have some of the same responsibilities as far as basic response and offer some of the same services that they'll talk about here in just a little bit. We have 2 canines on campus. We have Canine Zoomer, who is a certified bomb and explosives detection dog. He's an awesome dog. He's been with the department for about 6 years. He's one of the only bomb dogs in northern Utah, and he's busy. And one of his responsibilities is to sweep our venues prior to any large athletic event like football or basketball. He sweeps the venues prior to any large student event and assists with dignitary protection and those types of things. He's also used in the community quite frequently with assists with other agencies. And we have our public engagement and crisis response canine, who's Canine Sage. Sage is a Labrador retriever, and her primary responsibility is to help us build bridges She helps de-escalate and essentially serves as a certified therapy dog. Um, some of the things that we do on campus is we do enforce all traffic violations, criminal violations. We do those investigations, and we work very closely with our partners here in the community, um, specifically Logan City Police Department and the North Logan Police Department, as well as the Cache County Sheriff's Department. And some of our larger events, we have to have them assist us with some of our security details. I'll talk a little bit about safety escorts and some of the other things that we do here around campus here in just a few moments. Just for reference, on campus, one of the things you'll see if you're out walking around campus or on a campus tour is the emergency phones. We call them our blue phones. We have 29 of them on campus. And what these serve as is a direct communication and line to our dispatch center. Essentially, it's an intercom. So if for whatever reason you need to respond to one of these phones, it's an easy rally point. It's an easy way for us to find you if that's the circumstance. If you don't have a phone with you, we realize that in this day and age of cell phones that, it's our typical line of communication. However, there are times where you may not have that phone with you. If you push the red button, you will immediately be in contact with our dispatch center. Our dispatch center will receive a notification which will indicate which phone you're at, and we're able to respond to those very quickly. Most of these, in fact, all of these phones are monitored by cameras, about 180 to 270-degree camera angles. So not only can we have direct communication with you by voice, but everything that is happening in that immediate area is also being recorded. Some of the things that we do as a police department on campus that a lot of police departments don't offer or can't offer because of call volume and other things are vehicle jump starts and lockouts, especially during the winter time. There are circumstances where you may leave your lights on or your battery may die. If you contact the non-emergency number, the 797-1939 phone number, our dispatcher will find out where you are, and we will send a police officer or a security officer to help get your car started, as well as lockout services. If you lock your keys in your car, we will send somebody up to assist you to gain entry into your car. Now, this is generally campus specific, or at least within the close geographical area. We don't have a problem assisting some of the adjoining off-campus housing units, and we respond quite frequently to those to assist in those circumstances. But that doesn't mean that we're going to go downtown Logan or to any of the shopping centers or grocery stores to provide those services. It is generally kind of restricted to the campus geographic area. We do offer fingerprinting services as well. One of the great things about offering fingerprinting services is if you are going into a line of work or a field of study that may require a background check, in some cases that would be education, nursing, any security field, some of those types of things. You can make an appointment online and for a small fee come down to our office and be fingerprinted. Our fingerprint tech is connected to many of the online entities that would require the fingerprints. They can be sent electronically, and it's a more comfortable setting than to have to go to a local police department or down to the sheriff's department and have to go to the jail to have those fingerprints done. We also offer a lot of crime prevention programs around campus, drug and alcohol prevention, sexual violence. And I'll talk a little bit about BATA here in just a few minutes and explain what that is. But we work very closely with our emergency management team as well that offer education and advice on disaster preparedness. And for the most part, we are involved with a lot, in fact, most student events. You will see a police officer at all of our athletic events, large student events, and even some of the smaller student events. And we're involved with the planning of the security for those events. We're very involved with our student events and student groups that plan these. So there's also an added safety and security feature just naturally brought in because we're so involved with our partners here on campus. So we get a lot of questions as to what types of crimes happen on campus. And what we see is most of the property crime, especially, are crimes of opportunity. The biggest issue that we see on campus as far as property crime is that of theft or of lost property. And we're proud of the fact that we have a super safe campus. If you look at our numbers here from 2024, we only had 27 thefts or burglaries. In most cases, if an item is reported as stolen, we were able to find that it's typically an item that has generally been lost. So we just ask that you pay attention to what's going on around you, that you don't leave your computers and purses, cell phones, those types of things on the seat of your car where they're easily visible. And we ask that you just pay attention to what's going on around you. If you're on campus and living on campus, we ask that you pay attention to the doors, especially the exterior doors going into our campus housing facilities. Um, those doors can be defeated fairly easily with being propped open, and then sometimes in an attempt to be convenient, we do these things that we may prop a door open to allow a guest into our dorm areas and those types of things. We ask that you don't do that. That if you have friends coming over, that you make contact with them and meet in an appropriate place, whether that's in the lobby or outside of the dorm, so that you can gain access and not run the risk of having someone come into the dorms or facilities on campus that are not authorized to be there. Most of the time, we find that we don't have a big issue up here with student-on-student crime. And typically, it is somebody coming in from off campus that is taking advantage of the fact that, especially in youth and being young adults, that our situational awareness, our general safety awareness may not quite be at a point where you're paying attention to those types of things. And because of that, there are elements in communities that take advantage of that. And along those lines, we ask that if you have high dollar value items, that you document them in some way, that you make some sort of note as to serial numbers on computers, bicycles, those types of things. If there's some unique feature about that, we ask that you document that as well. It makes it a lot easier for us to be able to retrieve the item if it's located, and get it back to the appropriate owner. In a lot of cases, in situations where it's a lost property, if we don't have the appropriate documentation, it makes it very difficult for us to be able to prove ownership and be able to return that as would be needed. So that some great ways to document is to make note of its make, model, serial numbers. Photographs are great for us, and it just helps in the recovery process and getting that item back to its rightful owner. Some of the other crimes we see on campus, in some cases, we don't have a huge issue with personal crime. If you look at the numbers here, our assault cases, at least those that have been reported on campus, are very low. In most cases, these come in high intensity circumstances. We see these typically at large student events, football games, athletic events, those types of things. And typically, in the event of an assault, we typically see that there are other elements at play as well. In most cases, alcohol or drugs are typically involved, and I'll talk a little bit about that here in just a second. Sexual violence on campus is another question that we receive quite frequently. Again, it is no different than any other college campus or community per se. Our numbers are fairly low given the attendance on campus and the enrollment. We typically have at any one given day during a school year anywhere between 15 to 20 to 25,000 people on campus. So these numbers are fairly low, but I'll draw your attention to the next slide. One of the things that we worry about as a police department, by national studies and national surveys, is that 95% of our sexual violence and sexual assaults go unreported. And there's a lot of reason for that. In some cases, it may be just embarrassment or shame and guilt. But we're also finding that in a lot of cases, if we have a victim or a survivor that experiences this, in some cases, they just not even may be aware that what they've experienced is a sexual assault. In Utah, there are several statutes. It's a very broad range of offenses, anywhere from unlawful touching, which is a misdemeanor, clear up through to first-degree felony rape and sexual assault. So we ask that if you're in this circumstance, that it is reported. And there are a lot of benefits to that. As a police department, we work very closely with campus psychological services. We work very closely with our Title IX office, and we can put our survivors in contact with a resource to help with the healing process, to help navigate some of the fallout that happens in these circumstances. It doesn't necessarily mean it has to go through a criminal process. We work very closely with victims advocates and try to explain and educate all of the options in being able to navigate these circumstances. But we ask that if there's even a question, that it be reported, and we can help navigate that. Some of the other things to be aware of, in most cases, these offenses are happening between people that have relationships, whether it's a dating relationship or even marriages, those types of situations. In most cases, though, these are happening between two people that have some sort of relationship with one another. The idea that somebody may be lurking and kidnapping, those types of things, although they do happen, they do occur, very, very rare. It's a very, very rare circumstance here on campus. So I mentioned BATA a little bit earlier. BATA is our basic awareness and defense actions class. This is a PE class that the police department teaches. We teach it 2 sessions in the fall semester, and 1 session in the spring semester. Typically, this is geared to young women. Anybody is able to sign up for this, but most of the discussions we have are based around young women. And one of the awesome things about this class is we spend about half of the semester in a classroom. We talk about psychological awareness. We talk about situational awareness. We talk about how to navigate trauma. We include guest speakers that come in. And for the second half of the semester, we spend it primarily in the gym, where we teach basic self-defense skills, a few offensive skills. And these are designed for anyone from about 12 years old clear up through about 99 years old. It's a lot of fun as a police department to be able to be involved in something like this. And one of the great things about this is at the end of the semester, our final, so to speak, is a scenario-based situation in which our students will come in, we'll put them through some scenarios, and they have to basically fight through that scenario. The police officers will get padded up and just make things uncomfortable enough that our students are going to have to navigate and use the skills that they have learned throughout the course of the semester. This happens just before finals week, and it's a great stress relief for our students to come in, and it's fun for us to be able to watch the confidence build throughout the semester, and someone that may have felt like they didn't have the skills and ability to be able to apply those and use them in kind of a real world scenario. So a couple of things to be aware of on campus. Utah State is a dry campus, which means that alcohol is not allowed in any of the dorm facilities. It's not allowed in any of our community buildings. And we realize that by state law, if you are over the age of 21 and able to consume and possess alcohol, it may not come with a criminal charge, but we do work very closely with our student affairs office, and we work very closely with housing. So although there may not be a criminal charge associated with an alcohol offense, there could be a school sanction associated with that. So we just ask that you be mindful of that. Of course, if you're under the age of 21 and not legally allowed to have alcohol, then in most cases, there can be, and typically is at least a citation, and depending on the circumstances, may be also an arrest associated with that. Drugs, illegal drugs, those types of things are absolutely not allowed on campus, as they are anywhere in any of our communities. And we do take these offenses very seriously, and we'll follow up and do appropriate investigations as well, as far as our drugs and those types of things. Utah State doesn't, at least in my experience, we haven't seen that it's a huge culture here, but we are aware that it's around, and we do take these offenses very seriously. A couple other things to be aware of, and something that we see especially with younger and new students on campus is being enticed to be drawn into many frauds and scams they're taking place in all of our communities, and they're no different than what we see anywhere, whether that's the text that says that you missed a toll booth, or IRS scams, email spoofs, and those types of things. It's a great discussion to have about being aware of the appropriate way to vet these. If there's a question, we always ask that you call us. In some cases, we see that somebody may pretend or make themselves out to be a police officer. In those cases, in as we've seen, there may be a request for money, request for a quote unquote fine to get out of that circumstance. The police department does not take phone payments. In fact, the police department does not take payments unless it's for something like a service like fingerprinting. Those processes go through courts. So if you receive a phone call with somebody pretending or indicating that they might be a police officer, and they are asking for payment, whether it's through Venmo, whether it's through gift cards, Cash App, those types of things, it is typically a fraud or a scam. The difficult part we have with this is if that payment is made, in most cases, it's very difficult for us to receive any sort of restitution. A lot of these scams come from out of country. They come through IP addresses that are difficult for us to track, and we will help navigate this, but it's very difficult for us to be able to investigate or get charges or arrests out of these. So again, we ask if there's a question, contact us. A couple other things that we see on campus, especially with the way dating is now. A lot of relationships start online through apps. And one of the issues that we do see here on campus, especially something that affects our young men, is they may receive a random direct message through typically some sort of social media. A lot of times it's through Instagram or any of the other kind of more open social medias. And there'll be some sort of relationship typically start basically through direct messaging. What we do see is at some point it will move over. In a lot of cases, it'll move over to an app like Snapchat, and there'll be a request for intimate photos. And once that photo is sent, in most cases, someone will receive an immediate message back that's requesting money. And basically it's extortion and blackmail. And the reason that money is requested is and the threat that they use is that we will publish this photo of typically a private area to all of your contacts, or to those people that they may have now being able to see through the more open social media platform. In a lot of cases, we don't find out about these as a police department until somebody has been asked for, sometimes to the area of $2,500 to $3,000, and then it's reported that somebody, hey, it'll come in to us as like, I made a mistake, and now I'm being extorted or blackmailed. A couple of things to keep in mind here. If you wouldn't send that photo to your grandmother, if you wouldn't send it to your clergy or anyone that's close to you in your life, please don't send that photo to someone that you have never met. In fact, we would just ask that you don't send those photos. In most cases, they'll be used as blackmail. And we do occasionally see things with scholarship scams. And a lot of times these will come through in an email that says you've been awarded a scholarship of some sort. The caveat comes with that: in order to receive that award, you have to pay money. In any case, if you have to pay money to receive money, it is typically a scam. Just don't do that. And again, if there's a question, please let us know, and we'll help work through that. As parents and loved ones, if you would like to be involved in our Aggie alerts, you can text 333 or text USU Community to 333-111, and you will be included in our Aggie alerts. Now, if you're a student on campus and your contact information is up to date, typically that's through a cell phone, you will automatically be enrolled in the Aggie alerts. And what the Aggie alerts are is it's a way for us to communicate in a broad way emergencies that may be happening on campus, weather events, school closures, those types of things. In fact, we've used it a couple of years ago. We had a mountain lion on campus, and we're able to communicate that we had a lot of police activity in a certain area on campus, including wildlife officials, and we were looking for the mountain lion, those types of events. In the unfortunate event that we ever experience an armed aggressor or an active shooter on campus, this is how this would be communicated as well. But typically it's used for kind of, for any of our emergency events, weather events, school closures, those types of things. But again, if you would like to be included as a loved one, you text the USU community to 333-111, you will be enrolled. So here are some of the phrases you may see in those Aggie alerts. They're no different than we've seen as our students have come up through junior high and high school, whether it's a lockdown or lockout, secure, an evacuation event, or to shelter in place, or again, a weather event where you may be aware that we have road closures and school closures. And finally, if you would like to be involved with some of our social media, we are fairly active as a department on social media. The police department does have an Instagram and Facebook page, and Sage, our community engagement and crisis dog, also has her own Instagram page. We show a lot of things that we're doing. We offer sometimes safety tips. We see some of the things that we're involved with as a police department on campus. And this is just a great way to kind of keep an idea and keep involved with some of the things that we're doing as a police department. Again, if you have any questions, please reach out to us at 435-797-1939, and we'll do everything that we can to answer any questions for you. Thank you.